Welcome to Shiny Side Out with Dave.
Mackie! You shouldn't have paused, didn't you?
and Mackie. Oh, broadcasting from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio, whether it's more than just radio, so jump into the chat room if you can. This is show number 443.
340 and 400.
Wow. Do you know, it still amazes Mickey. I can't say this enough. It certainly amazes me crazy, right, every single week. The number just keeps going up. It seems linear. I'll explain what that means a bit later on. So, it's on air, online, and on your smart device, so grab an app to listen from anywhere or listen at home on a Grace Tabletop Digital Radio. If you missed Solaris' show, I have to say it was great. I listened to pretty much all of the show tonight, and she had Joanne Richards on, and she was discussing her new book called Midlife Magic. That's a great title. I could certainly it could pay me to read it, I'll tell you. MLCs are us, I think. Now, the archives are now Patreon driven. So if you go to the station's website, freedomslips.com or revolution.radio, you can subscribe via Patreon and get access to the archives. And they're building it, they're going back as far back in time as they possibly can. And they're going to be contributing more and more content, as well as us going forward in time, contributing more content. So it's going to build out as we go forward. So please do that. It's a great way of being able to subscribe to the station and support the stations and its activities. And you know what? It's a good thing. When I first started listening to Revolution Radio, Mackie, I was on the train watching some YouTubes.
Little toddler.
A wee little. That was my. What's your name, little girl? Sally. That was my name when I was a little girl. It's an old gag. So I was on the train commuting for an hour and a half in one direction, listening to saved YouTubes. And one of those happened to be a YouTube that I had no idea what the origin was. And I eventually found it, and it happened to be freedomslips.com. But it took me ages, like 6 months of research to be able to get to that, because I ended up finding this was a clip I was hearing, and I found the original, and I found the original of that, and then I found the one that was posted by the station, and voila, I did some research and got to it. I immediately fell in love with the station, and as I'm sure you guys will too. There's plenty of voices. If you like horses, there's a show about horses. If you like conspiracies, well, I know we have that pretty much covered. If you have like ancient, all the stuff that we talk about. But if you love great guests, Solaris has great guests every single week, and you need to get in the archives and be able to go through the back catalogue of all the hosts and all the shows on Studio A and Studio B as well. Catch it live and be in the chat room. I'm in the chat room right now, and I can see Amiga Logos, Solaris, Grog, Popsicle Toes, Hummingbird. You don't have to be your name. You can be any name you want to be in there. So it's anonymous. Not QAnon anonymous, but at least anonymous. You can be who you want, and you can disguise who you really are, and you can talk to us while we're on air. It's the nature of this station. It's the new thing. It's new, it's in, it's hip, it's plastic. Or it's buckyballs. No, what's the other one? Not carbon nanotubes, Mackie, the other one?
Graphene?
Graphene!
There you go.
That's the new thing. They're still waiting for people to make stuff out of it, but that's alright.
Oh, actually, there's a whole new thing.
Batteries.
No. Forget it. Metal, hydrogen.
Oh yeah, metallic.
What?
Yeah. The gases, yeah, metallic versions of the gases, but they've actually made a metallic version of glass now.
Yep. we are in the new world of doing things differently and more so, and we can now build a space elevator.
Yeah, they all contribute to doing that, because remember, all you have to do is lift it up and then let it go, and it's out there already. I really do appreciate it. Megan, I was watching, just before we get to this, I was watching a documentary on what the virus did to the planet when we all shut down. And they compared the lack of aircraft to the 9/11 event, which is just gone by the way. 19 years, right, or something, right?
20.
Wasn't it 2001?
I really
think it was.
20th anniversary.
But anywho,
Might have been
19, right? Yeah.
That's it.
So I was watching a documentary based on the research from the atmospheric, the high altitude atmosphere comparison from before 9/11 to after 9/11 during the couple of days when there was no flights to now, and how it's changed because we're not flying because there's a shutdown of, like a grounding of all the aircraft due to a terrorist event. It's because we're not allowed to be together, so therefore we can't fly. And I thought that was extraordinary that they did these comparisons. Now, the original study said, it's just cyclical, whatever. It did nothing, and that was sponsored by the aviation industry, claiming that their planes did nothing to mix any of the layers together or had any negative impact on the environment. However, now they're saying, wow, you can really see these chemicals in the air have an amazing decline at the beginning of this shutdown. And now that we're still haven't got, international flight to any extent, nowhere near, like not even a 1/2 of 1% is flying. And there is a distinct difference in the aerosols. There's a distinct difference but we're seeing a build up back up in China again, as they've sort of, committed to going back to operation. But the rest of the world, we're going to be years. I reckon it's going to be so tough for us to be able to climb back up onto that. And so there's something to said about, having a severely harsh lockdown. But as contrary to that, of course, is why such a harsh lockdown if the case fatality rate is at 4.6% now? That's hardly worth killing your economy over. So all of these things, Becky, I've been watching all these things this week, and it's I don't know where I actually find the time to this. But to start, I'd just like to wind out the intro, which I certainly have taken for way too long. And that is, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land. Where I live, it's the Dark and Jung people, and where Meki lives, it's
the Dirac people.
And we pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. And for shame, the current civilization on the planet, not the independent ones, but collectively, for the raping and pillaging of the planet that we're undertaking. And there's a segue to a story coming up about that. But Meki, let's straight away, how's your week?
Yeah, look, I can't complain. The week was good. Stressful, as you would imagine. But overall, it just, there's the fires that we watched unfolding over in the northwestern United States, so reminiscent of Australia. The sky, you get the
like
Gold Gate Bridge, the orange glow. It does. We got family living in the area, San Jose, also in the Bay Area, and they were part of the evacuation. Some of them, no one was hurt, but the air quality was quite bad. But now, when you look at these entire neighborhoods are completely razed to the ground. They were panning across these suburbs, and
there's
it's just
nothing.
Only the foundational outline. No, it's nothing. Oh, I mean, the heat must have been enormous, and this is only the beginning, interestingly enough, of the fire season over there. The October usually is much worse. So look, I don't know, man. It's bad. I mean, dozens of people are missing still. They're probably dead, to be honest with you. Now the fires are mean, the Australian fires still dwarf the ones that are happening in the States, but they're still catastrophic because there's just more people in America, right? So the fires, they're not as big as the Australian ones, but there are a lot more people in the area where those fires are. If the Australian fires were happening, or the scale of the fires were happening over in I guess northern United States, northwestern United States, the death toll would be in the millions, because it's just the scale of the fire. But I mean, they're still bad enough. But it's just more densely populated. Oregon, I mean, 500,000 people had to be evacuated. That's a lot of people evacuating. It's not just not little.
So I know some friends up in Tahoe, in Lake Tahoe, around Lake Tahoe, and they were experiencing fires maybe 6 weeks ago, experiencing them, and they weren't pleasant because, like, it's high altitude already. There's very little escape from it, and once those pine trees go up, boy,
because they're pine trees, they're loaded with sap, and
flammable.
That sap is highly flammable. So it's actually worse. In fact, I think that's why those fires burn hotter than here in Australia. To be honest with you, I mean, our gum trees have sap, but the pine tree sap is just that much more catastrophic.
Yeah. So we have a tree called the turpentine, and it's oil. The gum trees have oil that's exuded through the leaves when they boil in the heat of a fire, and that catches fire too, and not just the material of the leaves. So it becomes like a flamethrower. There's more fire than things on fire from a material sense, like the tree's not itself not burning yet, but you got to think about it. Like the pine forests do not recover very well from being burnt. The Australian bush recovers. The animals, not so much. Yeah. A lot of the animals, when the fires are less intense, the animals are usually okay. They can, skip through the fire, or, like the Australian koalas, for instance, their wool protects them to a certain extent. But to be honest, you want to be, a million miles away from the fires. Doesn't matter how intense they are. Meki, the scenes, like you said, the red sky or the orange sky, and visibility low, smoke inhalation. There was a boy and his dog that was incinerated. Just awful. Awful scenes there. Now, is this a sign of things to come? Well, yeah. Because the last 15 years are only getting worse. We haven't seen a year where they just trail off and, remember those fires? No, I can't. That was so long ago. We're not seeing that. We're already starting hazard reduction burns here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There was a huge waft of smog, or smoke as well, drifting across the entire Sydney basin through the. I mean, they were backburning in all directions except east, which is where the ocean is.
First opportunity to do it.
Let's backburn the ocean, backburn the algae, just backburn. Man, what you doing? Come on. No, it's serious stuff. But Australia, we are now experiencing something called the La Nina effect, not El Nino, but La Nina. La Nina tends to be wetter, so now there's increased risk of flooding, especially up in the top end near Darwin. But it may also mean that we might not have as bad a fire season potentially. We don't know. I mean, the increased rainfall could lead to higher growth rates, which then, if it gets hot, dries up. So it could be more fuel. So it can cut both ways.
We'll just have to see.
I don't want to call it yet. Yeah. But a lot of the undergrowth has burned away last year. I mean, so I'm hoping that a lot of the shrub land didn't have time to recover and create more fuel.
The trees,
last year.
So just letting you know that the Gospers fire itself, the one near me, that was larger than the entire Sydney area, when it burnt, you could burn it 3 times. So you can burn it first of all the material, and then the trees shed their bark, and then that goes back on the ground, and that can burn. And then all of the deep holes from all of the creatures that had filled up with material over the years just sit there smouldering, and they can be 1500 degrees. I've seen some FLIR imaging of the area, and then the leaves drop. Any new leaf just drops. The trees shed. Now there's more material again that can burn. And so it's been a whole year, and the bush behind my house is thicker than it's ever been. I did a video, Mickey. I'll post it on YouTube. I walk like 15 meters away from my house, and I cannot see the house at all. If I didn't know it was there, I would walk straight past it.
Yeah, no, look, it is a dangerous situation. Luckily, though, Dave's house is highly inflammable.
No challenges out there. It's not a challenge.
You know, that's good.
It's made of steel.
No, that's not a
concrete.
challenge. Challenge accepted.
It influences.
How do you
the
make concrete burn? Ferment!
The neighbour's dog tells me to burn things. Oh, Ralph. So I can't help it. I just can't help it. Every single episode of Shiny Side Out.
These berries taste like burning.
So, look, the Mecky's already touched on this, and it's the virus. Whatever you believe, don't care. There's a thing going on, and it's killing people. Now, I don't think, Mecky, I've been coming to this conclusion, right? I don't think that the virus is as bad as it was first thought to have been, but it's been a great practice run for the real thing should it come in. But I see the heavy-handedness of the policing as, I can't say even borderline brutal. The brutality is off the charts, and it seems unnecessarily violent. And I would hate for us to be in a situation where this was the new normal. I posted that World War II poem again, Mackie, this last week gone. And I try to remind people who see it, because there's it's quite polarizing. It's confronting to watch someone pulled from their car simply because they said, I don't want to give my name and address. I don't want to provide any details. This stop is, it was a stop between two regions in Victoria, which was in lockdown. And they used 5 police officers to pull a lady from a car. And I thought that was a bit heavy-handed. All they had to do was look up the registration of the car and ask, are you the registered owner? And if they say yes, great. Now we've got something to deal with. But I really wonder what happened, Mecky. What happened? If this is accepted, when it happens to you, good luck with that.
It kept creeping up on us over the years. I watched this interesting movie. I want to relate this to you. It's called I don't know. I can't remember. It's an American movie, but it takes place in Norway, and it's like a modern. It's like a recent movie this year, and it's like a retelling of the Thor myth. Like this American backpacker goes to Norway, or I think it's Norway or Sweden, either way, and he discovers that he's from there, so he's trying to find his family, and he discovers he's sort of like a descendant of Thor. A very interesting movie, very not a huge budget, but a really good story. But the point is, there was a police officer in this, I think it's Norwegian town, and he was the complete opposite of what you would find in a police officer in an American movie, Australian movie. He tried to talk people down. He gave a guy that just tried to kill somebody a hug because he knew him, like the neighbors, right? So he hugged him and said, look, because his son had died, so he took the gun from him and supported him, and he tried to do the right thing, the human thing, right? So in contrast, what we're seeing today, what we've seen over the last few decades, we've seen an increased militarization of the police forces across the world. I mean, they look like stormtroopers, for crying out loud. I mean, if you're a police officer, why do you choose to get helmets that look like stormtrooper helmets? I mean, that's just loaded with connotations already from the popular culture. Choose something, get pink helmets, I don't care. But of course, the intimidation factor is huge.
And they're anonymous.
And that's what
they
they're going
could very
for,
well
right?
just be robots beneath those suits.
Yeah.
I know that's right.
And eventually there will be. But but at this point, I don't even know what the training is anymore. It was to protect and serve.
No.
I mean, serve the community. Know the community. Right? It used to be, right? In the old
right.
days.
In the deep, dim past, the dark, dim past, Mickey. But who do they serve now?
Dark dim past.
In the feudal
I
system,
look,
right?
look. I told my, I told my 7-year-old daughter that, right, look, there's a world out there, and it's not that nice. And the truth is, the police serves those that have the power and the money. The law only exists to really punish or control the people that don't have the power or the money. If you have power or money, or both, or usually both, the law doesn't apply to you. The police will not dare. I mean, it's hilarious. In Singapore, I'll give you a simple example, right? In Singapore, if you drive a very expensive car, like a top-end Merc or Beamer or whatever, or even a Lamborghini or something like that, the cops won't stop you. They won't stop you because you're someone important. Okay, and it just doesn't. And this is how it is all over the world. Okay, another example. You remember Epstein,
that fella,
Jeff?
yeah.
Oh, good buddy.
Yeah,
Good
party
buddy,
guy.
Jeff,
He
yeah?
was a party animal.
No, he's friends with it.
Yeah,
Oh, he's party man, yeah. But he likes young girls. I mean, who doesn't, right?
clearly.
Right? Come on. Yeah. So let's be very clear here, right? He had money. I mean, he wasn't a billionaire. He had hundreds of millions, but he wasn't a billionaire, right? But he was rich. He had powerful friends, and he was, there's some stories about why he did what he did. But the point is that he had powerful friends, and the sweetheart deal that was offered to him back in the day when they first came after him was unprecedented in American legal history. No one had ever been offered a sweetheart deal like he had.
He could spend his days outside and come back at night.
Yeah, but it's astounding. It blows the mind. And all these people now, I mean, he was friends with everybody, okay? Everybody who was anybody in the world, pretty much, right? Went to his island, was his buddy, certainly in America, I'm not saying everybody, participated in the activities necessarily, but they're all in the know. They're all his circle of friends.
The Simpsons episode?
They're all his circle of friends.
The Simpsons get invited to the island and they're gassed all the time.
Yeah.
That's a direct stab at that. Yep.
Oh, completely. Now, do you know what George Bush Jr. said? George W. Bush Jr. He was giving a fundraising speech at a dinner. Big, probably we're talking, $10,000 plates, right? And room full of people in black ties and evening gowns, etc. And this is what he said. And I remember this very vividly because I watched part of a documentary. People call you the one percenters. You're the elite, the top guys in the country. I call you my base, is what he said. And yeah, yes. Yes, the answer is yes. There is no democracy. There's not even representative democracy. There's nothing like that anymore. It is completely. All of this doesn't exist anymore. You disappear. Every year. I mean, we talked about the park disappearances, right? I mean, it's probably just the tip of the iceberg. We talk about there's a town on the Mexican-American border where young girls keep disappearing. Disappearing, then they found dead. Like you're talking like not one or two,
30
but
million
scores
slaves on the planet. There you go.
30 million slaves. That's the official number.
That's right.
That's the official number. And then we have billionaires cavorting around, while at the same time in Africa we've got children starving to death because they haven't got a bowl of rice to eat. This world, the problem that you posed is a reflection on us not wanting to do anything and not wanting to step in the limelight, not wanting to cross the border. Because the truth is this, Dave. If you're driving in your car and you've got a family in your car, if you're a single guy or even a single woman, you might act differently because you've got nothing to lose, right? I mean, the only thing you have to worry about is yourself. But if you've got your family, let's imagine you've got your daughters and your partner in the car, Dave. You're driving along, I don't know, M2, M1, and you see cops, maybe 2 or 3 cop cars pulling over like a car and they're beating up on this guy. You're going to stop? You're going to stop the car and say, hey, guys, what are you doing? You can't just beat up on the guy.
I'm
like
getting
that.
beaten up by them too.
Well,
Right?
but that's the thing. But if everybody stopped, right? Then they wouldn't dare do it. But see, this is what you do. You divide and conquer. What does that mean, divide and conquer? Divide and conquer means you split
enemy?
apart, you break up the enemy, into different camps, smaller camps, because once you've broken them up, you can deal with them easier.
Because the greater the number, the more
it's
threat.
a smaller problem.
So you reduce the threat size.
Yeah. And Dave, we've been told for decades that we're powerless, that we should be afraid, that the police and the politicians, the establishment are here to save us, and they're giving us all the solutions. I mean, Victoria's lockdown tighter than I can't see it on there, but it's very tight. It's a very tight
part
lockdown,
of a fish's
right?
anatomy.
And like that, exactly.
That'll do.
A
Yes.
deep sea fish, and 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 it's not just in Victoria. I mean, elsewhere these lockdowns are equally onerous and draconic as well. And you look at people protesting now, and this is funny. So people are protesting all over the world. People are protesting in Hong Kong, put down, I mean, with force. People are put down in America, and they're put down with as much force, if not more, in Australia as well. But we don't seem to. It doesn't seem to bother them. Oh, bad Hong Kong Chinese! Look at them treating the protesters that badly. Oh,
yeah.
But America's they're Antifa, and they're terrorists and and all that.
But no,
it's a fundamental right.
It's not anti-fascist.
Yeah, it's a fundamental right. Yeah, but it's a fundamental right that we worked hard for, and not just worked hard for, to be able to assemble and protest, to demonstrate.
Until they say we can't.
That's the thing, though, right?
Well, firstly, make it like in Australia. They introduce a legislation that says to protest, you can't just simply protest. You can't organise and protest. What you need to do is you need to submit an application, which we can then stamp and approve. You've got to have a plan. You're going to start here, assemble here, get to here, and this is what you're going to do. If you give us all that, then we can still get to say no. But then you can take it to the High Court and you can win against the government saying that, because the High Court's meant to be separate. That's what happened with the Black Lives Matter. But that seemed to be an agenda item anyway, and it seemed to be a thing that they wanted to get pushed through. But I'm worried, Mickey. I'm really worried about what happens to democracy when the pandemic comes in and the laws state that you can't protest. So what happened?
The mask is off. The mask is off. There's no longer a
to democracy, Mickey, if you can't.
So let's be very.
It never existed, I think.
So okay, there's a couple of things. So the right to assemble and protest, that's one, right? The next one, and this is a really important one, and there's actually another point I need to make before we go there. But let me just let's make this one first. So the thing is this. The first thing I'm going to say is Noam Chomsky said one thing that was very, very true. Noam Chomsky, if you don't know him, look him up. He's a smart guy, interesting. He's actually a linguist. That's his training. Anyway, Noam Chomsky. You can think and say and do anything you want as long as you stay within the box. Okay? And that's why they want to, be able to shut down your protest or whatever. You can do this, but you can only do it here, and you have to march from A to B, and can be only that many of you, and you have to wear masks, and et cetera, and all these wonderful things. Now, the funny thing is this, though, right? There wasn't a spike of infections, which is really odd in these protests, right? But secondly, right, the second thing I want to say here, Dave. So the first thing to go is your right to assemble, to peacefully. Even peaceful civil disobedience.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those videos already.
I'm not going to fight you. Yeah. So that's a right that you have as a person, as a citizen. You're a citizen. That means you're enfranchised, not disenfranchised. If you're disenfranchised, there's nothing you can do. In America, it's easy to become disenfranchised. As soon as you lose your address, boom, you're done in the street. In Australia, it's a bit different. But you know what the next thing they go after is? The next thing they go after is the press. We're already
seeing all of that.
Reporters. And we've seen it. Dude, here in Australia, federal police raided the. I mean, not that I think there's much independent journalism left.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, they went in and arrest, or they tried to arrest, charge people with revealing state secrets, this and that. Julian Assange, all right, all he did was publish the truth. He just said, guys, this is what's happening. This war is horrendous, and these are the things that are happening in it. He's a hacker. He's a national security. Now there's this big extradition case that's going on right now. Are they going to extradite him? If he's extradited, he will die.
He'll just turn to dust by the time it's revealed.
But there are a lot of But China is backlashing against.
China
this is the story,
claims Australian
right?
police raided homes of Chinese reporters.
Yeah.
Because remember, the federal police also raided some houses of our legitimate Australian reporters who said they weren't going to reveal their source. Like, how paranoid is if you don't attack the thing? So, like the same thing we're seeing everywhere else. They're not saying to Julian Assange or Edward Snowden that what you've released is wrong. You're wrong. What you said is a lie. They're not saying that. They're saying because of the way you gained the information that you released, we can lock you up for the rest of your life. Despite what the action of the three-letter agency was against the Constitution in the US in Snowden's case, or for that matter,
and international war crimes.
Yeah, that's right, exactly right. Or launching a war against a country that was not to blame. It did nothing, and America just launched on it, right? So revealing that apparently is revealing a crime is a crime. I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me. My logic in my brain tells me that there should be an Edward Snowden parade, right? Did you know that the US secret NSA that you never even knew existed until we've revealed it, that's been operating, has been recording your phone calls without a warrant? Without a warrant. Of course, the process was to get a warrant, and they've been doing it for years. Everything about you is kept forever. Everything about you digitally online is kept forever. Now we're seeing everything, with cameras, knowing your whereabouts, tracking your person. Your liberty is only as good as you are willing to conceal it. Does that make sense? It's so stupid. So they didn't say what you've said is wrong. They said the way you've presented it to the fact that you just told the public, that's against the law. You can't do that. What? What a crazy world. It's like run by the SS, Mackie. No offense to the SS. They were just following orders. Yeah. Project Paperclip. Mm-hmm. So that's what they're saying. But then you won't have a job any longer, right? Whatever your job is, your role. And you could be shot by your own people. Like, where's the incentive in that? I fail to see the incentive. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, that's right. You trend out, Mackie, just to support your argument, to trend out the 50s, right? To trend that out with all of the excess and the patriotism and the strength to locally manufacture all of that went out the window. The whole world got turned upside down. I'd be shocked just from, from the 50s to the 60s. Oh my God! What, you had a revolution, and then the 70s, you've introverted yourselves again, and the 80s, hey, day glow colors or hypercolors. But where we're at now, I don't think if I'd received an invitation from the 50s that I would have RSVP'd at all. I wouldn't want to be where we're at. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. That's right. Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 The Davos group, Mackie. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, middle class. That's right. That's right. That's what happened. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Basically, in an isolation zone within the house, which is, yeah. That's right. Had a lot of match. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, Becky, but it depends on where you see yourself positioned within this. Like I always called it the money game. So I'm throwing these news stories out to the wind. So so when I realized what the world was, I realized it was a money game. It's basically Monopoly. We're all taught that. We all play it when we were a kid, and there's usually one winner and everyone else is severely disappointed. Uh, you gave it a great shot, but you lost the money game. Someone out of the group will, own all the properties and then bankrupt everybody. That's the game, and we accept that game as the way of life. That the irony involved in this, right? Oh, it's just a children's game. No, no, this is actually what's happening, because those people in power with all the money own and control everything there is. The most when I realized what it was, that talk you had with your daughter, to bring it back, I did the same thing with mine. I said, you've got to find something that pays you reasonably if you want to play the money game. If you don't, I don't know how you're going to succeed, right? As success, what I'm saying isn't about the money you make, it's about the happiness in your life. If you could content living on a farm somewhere, go to live on a farm. I don't care. But I want you to be happy knowing what the system is. If you think you can play the system and work it for your advantage, find the way of doing that. If you don't want to, fine. I'll support you either way. They don't even realize what they're in. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm. And the schools barely succeed at that, to be honest. Yeah. Mm. Mm-hmm. But at least you rub shoulders with him. You might get a job at their company. You know. You'll take the 91912, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it's crazy parallel. Mm-hmm. Mm. I think we ship them to Mars, don't we? All the billionaires who can afford it all leave and go there, and then we just cut them off. Good luck with that. Yeah. I got one's next year. Yep. Mm-hmm. No, that's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not just it's not to equalize. It's a force in itself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a couple of factors increase. Yep. Even a reporter. That's right. Yep. Mm. So loyalty and patriotism, Mackie, to a cause is what the military uses to drive you to their goal, right? To be part of their larger plan. But from the people who don't go to war and who just have tons of money, we're cannon fodder. That doesn't matter. Yeah. 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 Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Mm. That's right. I remember that. Yep. Mm-hmm. That's right. Mm-hmm. Profit. That's right. That's right. Oh, we're unlikely to see any of it at all. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. They're eating each other. You don't care. That's right. Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely true. Uh, Meki, I wanted to say one of the news stories, and that was it's sort of governmental, right? So this is the New South Wales um, ruling party is a coalition of two different parties here. So it's the Liberals and the National Party, which is basically the majority of the country areas, not the big cities. And there's while we've covered this story before, and the amount of koalas, 3 billion creatures are dead, and with the fires from last year, and the recovery is going to be painful, to say the least, and take probably 2 centuries to get back. However, there was a development plan to repurpose some koala habitat in the very place that is protected because of the 71% decline in the koala numbers, so significant, except that the party nearly imploded on itself because the Liberals and the National Party were supporting the destruction of the habitat, going, oh, it doesn't matter, the people who did the report, they know, right? It doesn't matter, there's heaps of koalas everywhere, they're undercounted, so we'll just go ahead with it. And the hashtag koala killer for the New South Wales Premier that got around, it actually generated enough discussion for this to blow up in their face, and it would be the end of their party. Because if they didn't have a coalition, they would independently not be able to ever make government. So, and one of the guys conceded, but I don't think he'll stay in politics very long. I think you know how they usually the prime minister or the leader says, "I've got faith in this guy," and that means he doesn't have any faith in him, and the next thing he's gone, right? So that's the nature of politics here, and it was so disappointing to see that that this thing bubbled to the top, and no one cared, But when it finally reached the media, man, they ran with that so fast and so hard that it's caused an uproar. And if that's the true face of that coalition's stance on everything. Like, be damned with nature, who cares, whatever, right? Let's just plow ahead and build stuff everywhere. Animals, who needs them? If that turns out to be the case, they're going to have a real hard time in this next election, I think, federally in Australia. And you've got to think about this, Mackie. In Star Trek, because we've only got like a minute left, in Star Trek, they had great technology with dirt floors in some places. They had a power source and a replicator and a dirt floor in a cave, because that's all you need, right? There's the music. It's only a short break, so stay tuned, and we're going to cut the live stream and rejoin it again as the show topic after this hour has concluded. All right, and take care. See you shortly. Oh, and use the time to donate to the station.